Some people do not become emotionally distant because they feel nothing. They become distant because they feel too much. And after enough disappointment, overstimulation, thrill, or emotional exhaustion, detachment starts feeling safer than connection. This is not a flaw in their character. This is a rational adaptation to an irrational emotional environment. And if you have ever been called cold when you were actually just exhausted, this is your story. Here is something most people do not understand about intelligent minds. They do not just experience emotions. They analyze them. Every conversation becomes a pattern-matching exercise. Every tone shift is logged. Every inconsistency is flagged. And what looks like emotional distance to others is actually continuous cognitive processing happening beneath the surface. Because intelligent people do not detach because they stop caring. They detach because their brain never stops working. And constant psychological awareness becomes emotionally exhausting, faster than most people can imagine. Let us define what emotional detachment actually is. Most people think it means coldness, lack of empathy, arrogance, inability to connect. But here is what research and lived experience reveal. Many emotionally detached people score high on empathy tests. They feel deeply. They observe pain in others quickly. They absorb emotional atmosphere. They simply learned to hide emotional intensity better. Because early in life, many intelligent people discovered something painful. Your emotional honesty will not always be met with emotional safety. So they adapted, not by becoming numb, by becoming selective. Here is the first mechanism: neural overclocking. The more deeply someone analyzes human behavior, the harder it becomes to stay emotionally relaxed. Because intelligent minds process more data per social interaction. While most people hear words, the analytical mind also registers microexpressions, vocal inconsistencies, behavioral contradictions, unspoken motives, social performance cues. Now imagine processing all of that in every single conversation. This is not paranoia. This is pattern recognition. And when your brain runs at this speed constantly, emotional relaxation becomes difficult, because trust requires a degree of ignorance to feel safe. And once you see the patterns, you cannot unsee them. If you are watching this and thinking, I do this every day without trying, you are probably not broken. You are probably just an intelligent person, living in a world that was not designed for your level of processing. Let that land. The issue is not that something is wrong with you. The issue is that your mind was built for depth, in a world that often rewards shallowness. And that mismatch creates emotional fatigue that most people never have to manage. Here is the second mechanism: adaptive emotional withdrawal. Many emotionally detached people were not born distant. They became distant. Let me explain how this works biologically. When the brain experiences repeated emotional stress, it begins rewiring itself for survival. This is called emotional conditioning. Each time vulnerability leads to pain, the brain logs exposure equals risk. Risk equals potential harm. Over time, the threshold for trust rises. Emotional exposure decreases. Vulnerability becomes calculated. This is not weakness. This is your nervous system learning from experience. And if you have been betrayed enough times, distance is not avoidance. Distance is self-preservation. Here is the third mechanism: cognitive isolation. People who think deeply often struggle feeling fully understood, not because they are confusing, but because their internal world is complex. They process at a depth that surface-level conversation cannot reach. And over time, constant misunderstanding creates emotional withdrawal. Not always intentionally, but gradually. Here is what happens. An intelligent person attempts connection. They share a deeper thought. The other person does not understand. The intelligent person feels unseen. Repeat this 50, 100, 500 times over years. And what do you get? A person who stops offering their depth, because shallow interaction feels more exhausting than silence. Let me show you how this usually begins. Openness. Someone enters the world emotionally open, trusting, expressive. They believe connection is safe. Then life teaches them otherwise. A friend who used their vulnerability against them, a partner who dismissed their depth, a family member who punished emotional honesty, a workplace that rewarded performance, not authenticity. Adaptation. The brain does what brains do. It protects itself. So emotional openness becomes guarded. Vulnerability becomes rare. Detachment becomes the default. And here is what makes this tragic. By the time the world notices they have changed, the person is often too exhausted to explain how they got there. Here is the fourth mechanism: the strength disguise. Emotionally detached people often appear highly functional. They are calm under pressure. They make rational decisions. They rarely get emotionally reactive. And society rewards this. But here is what is hidden. Sometimes that calmness is not peace. It is emotional fatigue. Hidden behind composure. It is the ability to function while feeling nothing, because feeling everything became too painful. This is the most dangerous phase of detachment, because the person is so good at masking that even they believe they are fine, until one day, they realize they cannot remember the last time they truly felt connected to anyone. Here is the fifth mechanism. Illusion collapse. Most social relationships survive through illusion. Think about it. Forced positivity, surface-level connections, social performance, unspoken agreements to avoid depth. These are the glue of average relationships. But highly analytical people see through these patterns quickly. They notice when someone is performing. They sense when connection is fake. They detect unspoken tension. And once you see the illusion, you cannot pretend it is real. This creates a painful dilemma. Do you participate in shallow connection, knowing it is shallow? Or do you withdraw and protect your energy? Most intelligent people choose withdrawal, not because they are antisocial, because pretending is more exhausting than being alone. If this is resonating with you, you are not difficult to love. You are carrying the weight of having seen too much, too early, with no way to unsee it, and you adapted the only way you knew how. The goal is not to judge that adaptation. The goal is to understand it, honor it, and then decide if it is still serving you. Now let me clarify something critical. There is a difference between healthy detachment and emotional shutdown, and most people confuse the two. Healthy detachment. You feel emotions, but you are not controlled by them. You can observe your feelings without becoming them. You choose when to engage and when to protect. Emotional shutdown. You have stopped feeling entirely. You avoid vulnerability at all costs. You have numbed yourself to avoid pain. Many intelligent people hover between these two states. They have moments of healthy regulation, interspersed with periods of complete shutdown. And the difference often depends on how much their nervous system trusts the environment they are in. Here is the sixth mechanism. Pattern saturation. Intelligent people do not just see one interaction. They see the pattern behind it. When someone says, "I care about you," the analytical mind asks, does this match their behavior from the past 6 months? When someone offers validation, the brain checks, is this genuine or strategic? This constant pattern verification is mentally exhausting, but it is also protective, because intelligent people have learned those words and behavior are often disconnected. And once you understand that disconnection, trust becomes a decision, not a default. Here's the truth that most people avoid. Some emotionally detached people did not lose interest in others. They lost trust in emotional safety. This is not about being antisocial. It is about being burned so many times that your nervous system now identifies vulnerability as a threat, and your brain is doing exactly what it should, protecting you from harm. But here is the painful paradox. The same mechanism that protects you also isolates you. The same walls that keep pain out also keep connection out. And the same distance that feels safe can eventually feel empty. So what do you do if you recognize yourself in this? Step 1. Stop pathologizing yourself. Your detachment was not a failure. It was an adaptation. Thank it. It kept you safe. Now decide if you want to update it. Step 2. Distinguish between protection and prison. Ask yourself honestly, is my emotional distance protecting me or keeping me from what I actually want? Step 3. Become selective, not closed. The goal is not to become open to everyone. The goal is to learn who deserves access. Not everyone. Not no one. The right people. Here is a practical framework for intelligent emotional management. The emotional access filter. 1. Consistency check. Does this person's behavior match their words over time? If yes, consider opening. If no, proceed with caution. 2. Safety test. Can you share a small vulnerability? And has it respected? If yes, consider more depth. If not, maintain distance. 3. Energy audit. Does this connection drain you or replenish you? If drain, protect your energy. If replenish, invest more. Because real emotional intelligence is not complete detachment. It is learning who deserves emotional access when vulnerability is safe and how to protect peace without isolating yourself completely. Because emotionally intelligent people do not disconnect from emotion entirely. They simply become careful about where they place it. The goal is not to feel less. The goal is to invest your emotional energy where it is reciprocated, respected, and safe. Not everyone earned access to your inner world. And it is not cold to acknowledge that. It is wisdom. And once you understand how emotional fatigue changes people, you begin realizing something important. Some of the quietest people are carrying the heaviest psychological weight. They are not cold. They are not broken. They are simply tired of investing depth into a world that rarely meets them there. And if you want to understand how to rebuild emotional safety with someone who has learned to distrust it, watch this next video.